the way.
Hello, this is Hal Ruth, and it's time for your Equalizer 9 tip of the week. We're going to talk about, are you working in the business or are you working on the business? And this is really intended for anybody who's a leader of a construction, architectural, or engineering firm, but really it applies to any business. And we're talking about people who are leaders, whether they be the CEO or president of a company, or whether they be a divisional manager or leader. And so I'm going to jump right in. And there are 6 categories that we're going to talk about today. And it's all about allocation of time and energy. Now, the first category is high-level strategy and planning. The second one is business development and community engagement. The third one is talent recruiting and mentoring. The fourth, operations, that is if you're in construction, design if you're an architectural or engineering firm, pre-construction if you're a construction firm, construction administration if you're a design or an engineering firm, and then administrative and reporting. So those are the 6 categories. So what I did is I was recently meeting with a division manager of a large construction company, and I asked him, and by the way, his team was around him as well as his boss, the guy who is the president of the company. And so I asked him, where are you currently spending your time as it relates to these 6 things? And I got the notes here of what he said, and I'm going to use this as an example. He said that he spent 5% of his time in high-level strategy and planning. He spent 5% of his time in BD and community engagement, 5% of his time in talent recruiting and mentoring. He still spent a lot of time in operations. 50% of his time was in operations. He spent 20% of his time in the pre-construction world and 15% of his time in administrative and reporting. Now, I asked him that, he answered that question, and then I posed this question. I drew a line here. We're going to draw it right through there. And basically, anything above this line, or I'm going to start here, anything below this line, you're working in the business. In other words, you're in the weeds. You're doing the things that, that basically your company is known for, what you're paid to do, operations, pre-con. And you're also stuck with doing some reporting and admin stuff. Above the line, you're working on the business. Now let's talk about the distinction between on and in. Own means we are spending time driving the strategic initiatives that are going to change our company for the better. We're spending time in the community doing business development, telling the story. We are spending time developing next generation leaders and a succession plan. And so basically what we're doing when we're working on the business is we're ensuring that the business will grow in a healthy way and we're heading toward our vision. In the business is doing the things we have to do to deliver projects on time and to do it effectively. So then I asked the question, knowing this, where should you be allocating your time and energy? And discussing it with his team, discussing it with his senior leaders, he came up with, I need to be spending 20% of my time high-level strategy and planning, 20% of my time in BD and community engagement, out there telling the story, and 20% of my time making sure that we got the talent to grow this business. And then he said, I still need to stay in operations. I still need to know what's going on and with oversight. So 25% of my time here. And he's exactly right. You cannot pull out of your central core business. You got to stay engaged in it. But what he needs to be doing, and he recognizes, I need to empower some other leaders, maybe even promote some people, and I need to delegate some of those things, and I need to take a more oversight role instead of being in the weeds day to day. And so the same went with pre-con, that went down to 10%. And he said, I'm spending way too much time here. This is not driving the business. And so I'm going to back that off to 5. That means I'm going to rely on some other people to do it. Both of these, add up to 100. So this is where he landed and where he needed to be. And so we gave him strategies of how to move more out of this up here, but still maintaining his eyes on what's going on here. Now, this there's no perfect answer for this. And there's no perfect way to measure it, but we know where we're spending our time and energy. Just look at your calendar, look at your schedule week to week. You'll know where you're spending your time. And so if you're a CEO, this guy was a division manager, if you're a CEO of a large company, you probably need even more time up here and get this down to about 10%, maybe even 2% here. But a division manager, this is probably about right where he needs to be. So the tip of the week is simply this. You need to figure out where you're spending your time and energy now and where it needs to be, and then you need to make adjustments if you want to grow the business, if you want to work on the business. This also can be used in another creative way. If you're thinking about promoting someone, let's say it's a project exec or senior PM, and you're thinking about promoting this guy or woman into a leadership role. The other thing, this is what you need to look at, is you know they're going to need to make this transition to more time working on the business. Are they the type person who can do that? There's nothing wrong with someone who says, you know, I just love being engaged on construction projects, or I love doing design work. I never want to get my hands out of that. If they say that, let's don't make the wrong decision for them and for the company by putting them in a role where we really need them to spend more time up here. Instead, let's reward them to stay in a very senior level right here or right here. So you use this for two reasons. One, to drive people to work on the business who need to be working on the business, but also to make critical decisions about who has the right mindset in order to do this. You need someone that has an entrepreneurial mindset, a strategic mindset, and you can test for that, by the way. So anyway, this is the tip of the week. Are you working on the business, or are you working in the business? So look at your calendars, figure out what you're doing, and then sit down and be very intentional about how you can make change, because we need to grow our business. Thank you. This is Hal Ruth with your Equalizer 9 Tip of the Week. Are you a part of the Equalizer 9 mailing list? We would love for you to be a part of the Equalizer 9 community. So go to the link below in the description, sign up for it, and you will get the Equalizer 9 Tips of the Week right in your mailbox each week. Again, I'm Hal Ruth. Thank you so much for watching.